What's going on, world? D.Ray, Godson, March 20th. About less than 24 hours before the protest. I just want to explain my actions and my decisions in this. I mean, I hate what happened to Patrick. And everybody got their side of the story, but I do feel that if a man ends up in a hospital in handcuffs after submitting, something's wrong. And we'll let them prove that that's not true, just like they do us. But I don't want you to think about Patrick for a minute. I want you to think about yourself, your life, the world, your children, the community in itself, where your kids must be raised. Do we want to live in a community or have our kids raised in a community where allegations like these can be made but never dealt with properly or legally? Where a man can say, this is what happened to me, and people can say, well, because of who he was or what he done, he deserves that. That's no different than slavery. That's no different than what Jesus dealt with. That's no different than what they going through overseas now. Because of who you are, you should be susceptible to pain and punishment, defenseless pain and punishment. I just want to say that in my eyes, I see that's wrong. In my heart, that hurts me to think that even my own community would sit back and say, well, because of what he done, he deserved that. Or anybody deserved that. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. That could have been you come to me and say, hey, this is what happened to me. And if you was willing to speak out against it and say something publicly, I'd be on your side too. I'm not in trouble, and I haven't been in over 10 years. Check my records, okay? But I'm here because somebody got to stand up for us. Somebody got to be the voice of the people. And if the people don't want to claim their own lives, their own freedom, their own rights, then what can I do about it? But here I have a man that's willing to stand up and say, look, this is what happened to me. And he will admit to being wrong where he was wrong. But does that justify officers of the law who are supposed to protect and uphold the law and the citizens of this community? Does that mean they should be able to get away with crime? Does that mean they should be able to break the law and walk away legally just because of what he was accused of? We ain't going to say what he done. We're going to say what he was accused of. And I think the problem is people become more protective and put more value on their materialistic things and their bullshit, excuse my language, than they do a human life. Because I had a man post something that says, luckily nobody was in there on when he kicked in the door, so to speak. Yeah, because you would value taking a man's life over stuff. I'm glad Jesus didn't feel that way. I'm glad Jesus didn't say, they ain't gonna do right, so why am I worried about it? I'm glad God just don't snatch your life as soon as you do something wrong. But we ain't gonna say whether the man did anything wrong or not. Let's just say it was me. And let's just say they pulled me over at 4 o'clock in the morning and asked me to step out my vehicle. And I asked them why. And they drugged me out and did things to me that I wouldn't want to come publicly and say nothing about unless somebody was on my side. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I wouldn't be able to feel safe knowing that it's a legal gang out there, basically, that can do whatever they want to do to a man and get away with it. How does that encourage change in a man? How does that make a man who looks hopeless and helpless feel like it's worth trying to do better when his own community wouldn't even support him when he came forward and say, this is what happened to me? You want to judge based off of what somebody accuses somebody of. But I believe it say, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Let he who ever haven't done any wrong start the punishment. But if your punishment should be your hands cuffed behind your back and you unconscious and end up in emergency surgery, And that's a hell of a punishment, especially over materialistic shit. I mean, when we sit back and allow things like this to take place, I feel like we basically saying they can do whatever they want to do. Healthcare, school, uniforms, our kids, our laws. They govern the way we raise and discipline our children. I'm just trying to prove to you that if you believe in yourself and your own voice, that it can make a difference. I ain't saying it's going to change the world, but one step at a time, we can get there.